Hello, everyone. When people start joining, um, I'm here with Omega. I was just out and about. I got some more sour cream for the cornbread, which he needs a brush, to be honest. Ooh, come here. Oh, some people join. Whew. Well, my my setting is I want to make a basic format that doesn't give a defined size to the universe or the multiverse. It's a fantasy setting. Some parts of it are low fantasy, some are high fantasy because there's different mana levels. There's also other ways to manipulate physics, let's say. So conventional technology might work in some areas, um, but magic is a way to change the laws of physics, at least in a local area. So it's control at its highest form, it's control over reality itself, which is why very supernatural creatures are so weird. First of all, they often come from different places that aren't like Earth, and a lot of them are alien to us. So we may call within the setting, people call some of them monsters, but they're, well, they are what they are. Um, Sometimes if they serve higher themes than themselves, higher creatures, higher beings. So they might be serving oppression, a demon of oppression or a god of oppression. So their actions are dictated somewhat by that. They have to act in conformity to that theme. But mostly, the we're not going to be exploring the multiverse, the so-called multiverse, very much, if at all, because that is um, I don't want it to. I don't want to fool around with things like time travel. I don't think that makes sense according to the laws of physics. Uh, and as I said, magic manipulates some of those, at least at its higher functions. But it's not. Um, Time travel doesn't make sense, basically, like, the way it's portrayed in a lot of movies. It makes sense um, according to physics, sort of, but it's more about time dilation, not travel as we would understand it. Um, so what the story focuses on is there's a couple of aspects. One is that it is um, it's based on the Judeo-Christian faith, or their belief system, in terms of what is in the Bible or in other holy books. Hi, Omega. Although it does not follow them precisely. In fact, in many ways, it's amplified because we're talking about a lot of places. Come here. We're talking about a lot of places in this universe, or in other dimensions, or in other locations that are ruled by heaven. So there's two heavens. One is the one that is in this universe, and the other one is prime heaven, which is the basically within my story. That's where God lives, even though he doesn't have to, or that's as close to God's house as you can get, basically, as anyone can. And it's one of the ultimate temptations for an archangel, or a seraphim, or a cherubim. Now, in my story, and I know this is not accurate, I know seraphim are way more powerful, but in my story, they are equal in authority and power, although not responsibility. They have different basic functions. The cherubim are direct, administrative. They do somewhat what God does. I mean, they all do, but they sit there and they manage things all over the universe, or wherever their responsibilities are. The seraphim primarily govern holy places, including sanctuaries, which have famously never been breached. Well, not in this universe, anyways. They're very hard to breach, because it's not like there's just one guarding a place. Even though there's usually a lot of others that can be called down. Like a lot of lesser angels can be called down to help an angel, especially the one who's high ranking. So that is not something you'd have to do a whole invasion, and that's just, wow. That would be quite a thing. It's possible, but it's not likely, because that's regarded as heaven on earth, therefore blessed ground, therefore something that the angels have direct administration over, and they can use their full powers within the sanctuaries and other places as well, without disturbing the mana cycle, because it all goes back to heaven, essentially, because heaven is the focal point of the creator's work within the universe, within this universe, let's say. So, anyways, that's the way I have that set up. Not sure what mood Omega's in. So, all the angels are evolving in their own way. They're very unique. They're not specific function tools. So, there's paths that they can take. Now, in my story, the devil was offered an opportunity to, or he was shown prime heaven, and that is ultimate reality, if you will, is from his perspective, because he was created by the creator, and this place, this prime heaven, was more than he had ever seen before. It was a place of ultimate temptation in a way, because it's ultimate power. It's and he saw the angels in the form of what he could be. But the temptation wasn't whether we'll take it or not. It's, well, sort of. The temptation is he going to do his own thing, or is he going to obey divine will? And he chose to do his own thing. So that's what caused the Civil War. It was more of a fighting retreat, but a lot of angels fell with him. They were cast out of heaven, and they were not condemned to hell, but they use that as a stopping off point, and they tend to rule hell, the fallen, because they are incredibly powerful and incredibly good at using their abilities. So they're not necessarily, well, they're called the Fallen. They're a group called the Fallen. Ooh. They aren't. It's not just the ones who participated in the Civil War. There have been many afterwards, and they're all regarded as the same. Although some people regard the ones who participated in the Civil War as special, it's fine. So he goes to the dragons and other places over the many eons that he's learning and exploring. There's also timeless times. There's timeless places, that is to say, outside the universe, where you don't know how long he's been there or anyone's been there, but so that makes some of the activity a bit more unpredictable. He learned, well, that's why he's called the Great Dragon, in fact, because he learns how to craft universes, specifically how to craft universes. And so he changes this one, as all the angels do, in subtle or not so subtle ways. Yes, so that's what I've got so far with that character. Um, so the aliens are the ones that are not human centric, not based off humans. They're based off of something strange in the universe, strange to us, anyways. Generally speaking, the gods are created by whoever their worshippers are, and they're somewhat shaped in their image. So, if it's an insect-like creature, civilization, then the god is probably going to look like that, etc. Oh, our first viewer. Hello. So there are demons per se, but they're the denizens of hell. They're not the fallen. Oh, what else, a viewer? Right. So demons are aliens, basically. Insofar as almost everyone can use magic to some extent. Um, Aliens wouldn't really make sense if we're referring to only a biological state of being. And that's the other thing. Humans and really all creatures have transcended biology in many ways through the use of magic. Like, they don't necessarily have to die. They don't eternally die. There's reincarnation. There's a judgment, but there's reincarnation. Like, if they follow the main spiritual path, what happens is they they go to heaven, they go to the judgment, and then they get reincarnated in unpredictable ways. Sometimes they can choose, or somewhat choose. So, um, technology wouldn't. I don't think it would be the way we think about it, because distance distance is not usually an issue. You walk through a portal, it's locked places, and you go somewhere else. That's very, very far away immediately. Or various entities can teleport you. And hmm, or you're transported by means that you don't know what means have been used, but it's been successful. So primarily, this is talking about the point of view characters are not cosmic beings. They are hunter teams. They're not entirely Earth centric, but they're Earth analog centric, if you will. They might operate out of parts of the Fey realm. They might operate out of Earth. They might operate off Mars, something like that. These are all fully habitable worlds with atmospheres and all of that, because various supernatural entities can fairly easily make an atmosphere and have it stable, and magnetosphere, all of it. Just boom. The raw materials aren't an issue. So things like mining, um, and being a lumberjack or something, that's not really a thing, because it's easy enough to make trees grow faster, or find a really old tree and harvest it on any of thousands of worlds. Um, the raw materials are not an issue. How they're used, craftsmen are more valued in this universe, because, well, art is something that's you carve things into wood, and um, you create beauty. Same thing with music and a lot of other things. Those things are valued more. Food, usually no. I mean, it's valued, but it's not like people are going to starve if someone isn't a farmer. What they do is they grow good crops that people like, and it's more or less like a lot of times um, there might be servants of the Fae who are allied with this particular family for one reason or another. Contracts can be confusing, but a lot of times they're pretty straightforward, because what the elves want, or the Pixies or any of the others really want is relatively easy to procure. It's not milk, it's not honey, it's not any of the things that the legends say. It's what goes into that, what goes into producing it. They're basically attracted to people who put certain magic into the work that they do and the lives they live. That's why they like this. They like these things. Um, well, that's my take on it, anyways. And in return, they can take the raw material, especially in a low mana cycle where magic is hard to use or sort of you're not able to use it. They can, because they are not governed by this realm, they're governed by the Fey realm, which is all over the place. It's very hard to describe. Um, but they can do things that are quite marvelous using magic and using the talents and skills they have. So something like the elves and the shoemaker could certainly happen. Make really great shoes or anything really that requires craft, and in return they get something that is of a great value to them. Probably not of great value to us, although who knows? Um, but that's how. Um, if travel isn't an issue, then yes, if travel is not an issue, then one can bring resources from one area or people who can produce resources to an area, and an exchange can take place. So what a elf might do, or one of the small ones, anyways, is they might do a token gift of let's say healing someone's cow or cows, or mucking out their stable or something like that. Something that's perhaps a little bit labor intensive, but they can do it. And for a human, it might be a bit of a small reward, a small service, and then in return they want, let's say, a cup of milk produced from the cow every morning. And in return for that, they will help the farmer through hard times. Um, yes, so the hard times, they're largely associated with either invasions, incursions, blights, something negative, and or low mana cycles. So when the mana cycle increases, things like the Fae aren't, unless they're a higher Fae, of course, they're not vital to humans anymore. And now, when I say humans, I mean I mean humans, but they're all over the place. I'm not primarily talking about Earth here. I'm talking about um, all over this universe, basically. They might exist on something that would be like an asteroid. They can be a small asteroid, but it's converted into a planet artificially by some supernatural entity. They create an atmosphere, people can live and thrive there. And so there isn't really a universal faith, certainly, but there is a something of a path. You might say it's a somewhat universal path because there's a prime. Um, well, there's a singular creator for most universes, and so anything that's done in them ultimately benefits the creator entity or entities, as the case may be. So that's what I have so far. And the thing I like about this setting is that a lot of people can contribute to it because there's a lot of concepts that are in the public domain that can be used. We can, of course, develop different languages, but a lot of languages have been developed. I think just continuing that development that's already been done would be best overall, because you're building on the accomplishments of other people, and you might be able to push things farther. In fact, especially if one collaborates or a bunch of people collaborate. There's no need to start from scratch. I don't think. Oh, I'm gonna get some water. Ooh. Oh. Hi, Omega. Nice. Hi. How you doing? Excellent. Yeah, something that I don't like, or I wish they would improve, is I wish Quora would improve the ability to answer in video format. I know you can kind of do it on a laptop and it works sort of maybe, but it's pretty clunky. Especially they make it very smooth, like YouTube does. They make it very easy because they make money off of it. I imagine Quora does too. Even though they primarily think of themselves as a question and answer site, well, you can answer in video format. Heck, you can answer in audio format too. So, how you doing, Omega? You in a good mood? I'm gonna close this side. Oh, cancel. Yeah, don't leave site. Oh. Mm. Yeah, so I made a couple of shorts today. Um, Hope people enjoy that. um, yeah, I went out for a walk. I went to the store. I went to a restaurant. I had I forget what they call it. I guess sugar waffle a la mode. So it had vanilla ice cream. It had caramel and a waffle along with a hot pan on the bottom, and that was really good. I just mashed up a little, put it in. Oh, whipped cream on top. That was nice too. But yeah, I hadn't. I think I had some last month, but I hadn't really had. Um, I didn't realize that waffles were something of an art form, and pancakes too, for that matter. Even though I grew up with that, I thought that they were a breakfast food primarily, but nope. I mean, they are, but they're also a dessert in large parts of the world that I intend to visit, by the way. Oh, the fantasies I've had about food tourism. Whew. Whew. Oh, yeah, I started my stream during rush hour. That was, well, but I'm glad some people could join me briefly. I'm gonna give this a little more time. Let's say until 5:45, and I'll see if a few people can join. And if you can, that's wonderful. If not, then we'll we'll reconvene at another time. I'll probably there's definitely better days. I'll probably I'm thinking Friday night might be a good time. Um, but yeah, let me know what you think about that. If you if one time or another is better for streaming. I do video drops, shorts. I do pretty much when I make them, which is usually during the day. A longer video, I might wait until certainly until the day, probably the evening, but I might wait until the weekend, or I'll certainly try to wait until the weekend or sometime when it's more logical. My sunburn's feeling better. It's still, I still feel it a little, like it's a little tender in parts of my head, but that's from Saturday. So I've got Sunday, Monday, and now Tuesday. So it's been a couple of days and some healing's taking place. Arms are still a bit red, but it's not as bad as before. But yeah, I came pretty close to sun poisoning, so I'll be sure not to let that happen again. Definitely going back to the Ren Fair. I love that place. It's I'm gonna get my own food because the food. It's not just that it's exorbitantly expensive. It's that I can make it at home really easily. So like, why would I want to squander $9 on fried dough when I can just whip it up and make it better than they make it? I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a good exchange because it's like if it was actually something where it fostered a human connection, yes, that's worth it. Um, but if it's just food, eh, I mean, fried dough is fine. I like it, but it's not something I can eat a whole lot of. And if I really want it, well, I'm going to make it on my own and etc. The other things, there was a Polish place which I'll definitely check out. There was something with, I think it was peppers and sauerkraut. I want to say um, that might be worthwhile. But I'll get my thermos and I'll get my backpack and get a couple sandwiches and especially my brother's coming, then I'll get some. We'll make sandwiches for both of us the way we respectively want them, and yeah, I'll get some. I'll spend money on in places where they're selling something I want, or it's an activity that I will enjoy. Um, as I've said before, the thing I want to avoid in storytelling is hitting a wall, narratively speaking. I don't want there to be a wall. In fact, what's going to happen is certain characters who have traveled around quite a lot are going to talk about um, the I guess you call it the infinite void or something that the it makes it it makes our universe look like just a grain of sand on an almost infinite sea, and each grain of sand is a universe like ours. That's how big the space is outside of our universe. So space within our universe is enormous, almost unfathomable. I think it is unfathomable to the human mind, really. But outside is so much more than that. It's almost well, it's impossible to really communicate how large it is. Um, but anyways, in there, universes are spawned by various means, and some creatures like dragons go there. That is to say, a place outside of any universe. They go there and they spawn universes. Now, spawning a universe is not difficult. It could be more like a pocket dimension or a fully fleshed out one. But spawning a metastable and expanding universe is incredibly difficult, especially one that expands. And that's why the dragons are so impressed by our universe because it's one of the most stable they've ever encountered, and it's expanding internally without external forces helping it, which means it creates its own mana cycle. Well, not just creates it. Well, it increases. It doesn't decrease. So the mana cycle locally in different areas may fluctuate, but overall, it's increasing. So that's impressive because a lot of times what happens in universes that are not so well made is that the various denizens develop a conquest mentality and a pyramid scheme, and so everyone serves them, it serves the leaders, and then the leaders get killed or taken down or something, and it just becomes a horror show basically, and it becomes like a description of hell, which, well, I guess it sort of is. Now, hell is a multiple universe dumping ground, prison. Some parts of it are very pleasant, but a lot of it really isn't, to put it mildly. Um, the dragons have all sorts of places to put people. But sometimes they dump them in hell too. But again, they have a lot of variety because they travel, so they know a lot more people, a lot more entities. They know a lot more about um, a great many universes than perhaps even their own denizens do. I mean, there's some universes where they don't know how to escape their universe, for example. And so they're I don't know what the right word is. Their karma cycle rebounds on themselves, and it gets really bad. There's no one to take the. There's no one to organize anything. So yeah, since it's easier to do negative things than positive, well, a lot of universes become very nasty places and fewer places like hell. So which is not to say that hell and heaven are related in any way in this universe. They're not. Hell is a place that, well, it's sort of a universal jailhouse, but it's more than that too. There's places where, um, well, hell is a nexus as well. So certain parts of hell, they build things around palaces and such, and that's how they can control the portals. So the leaders, um, they can travel all over the multiverse or the infinite void. That's what you might call it. Yes. Um, whereas the rest of the denizens of hell cannot. They can travel around hell, perhaps, but they have to serve in their own way. And there's ways of finding out someone isn't serving sometimes. So, all right, we're going to wrap this up now. Hope to see more of you later at the next time. And again, I'll probably make that around the weekend. So if you want to keep that, if you want to see it, then it'll probably be Friday evening, probably around 6. I'm gonna say it'll start around 6, but details may change, and I will let you know.